My dear friends, life is a beautiful teacher, but it doesn't always teach gently. Sometimes it teaches through silence, through distance, through heartbreak. And when we cross the age of 65, relationships begin to reveal truths we were too busy to notice earlier. Today, I want to share 7 brutal but deeply liberating lessons about relationships, lessons life teaches late but wisely. Lesson 1: Not everyone you love will stay. One of the hardest lessons life teaches after 65 is that not everyone you love will stay. Let me tell you the story of Mr. 2G. Let me tell you the story of Mr. Sharma. He spent decades building friendships, helping neighbors, and cultivating family bonds. His home was always full, birthdays celebrated, festivals lit with laughter, dinner tables crowded. Life seemed perfect. But when he retired, slowly, almost imperceptibly, things changed. Friends stopped calling. Relatives became distant. Birthdays came and went without a message. At first, he felt hurt, confused, and lonely. I gave so much of my time, my heart, and my energy to others. Why am I left alone now? He asked me one day. The answer is simple but brutal. Life moves on, and so do people. Attachment doesn't guarantee permanence. Some relationships are seasonal. Some people are meant to walk only a part of your journey. Mr. Sharma struggled with bitterness for a while. Then slowly he began to understand the measure of a relationship is not permanence, but the depth it offers in the present. He started volunteering, reconnecting with old passions, and building meaningful connections without expecting them to last forever. The wisdom after 65 is subtle but liberating. Life teaches us that we cannot hold on to people like objects. True love is freedom. It allows others to leave without resentment. True peace comes from within. So, the first lesson is this: cherish relationships, give your love generously, but do not tie your happiness to someone else's presence. Because when you learn to embrace life as it comes, you discover that even in solitude, your heart can remain full and joyous. Lesson 2: Respect matters more than love. Many people live believing that love is the ultimate glue for relationships. But after 65, one truth becomes painfully clear: respect matters more than love. Let me share the story of Mrs. Rao. She had been married for over 40 years. Her husband would say, "I love you," every morning, yet he never truly listened. He would dismiss her opinions, interrupt her conversations, and make decisions without consulting her. Throughout the years, she tolerated it, thinking that love would compensate for the lack of respect. But inside, a quiet loneliness grew. Even with love expressed in words, she felt unseen, unheard, and undervalued. It was only after attending a senior meditation group that she realized the truth. Respect is the soil where love grows. Rest is the soil where love grows. Words alone are not enough. The brutal lesson here is that without respect, love can become empty and suffocating. After 65, we have fewer years left, and every relationship needs authenticity and dignity. We no longer have the luxury of pretending that verbal affection is enough. Respect manifests in actions, listening attentively, valuing choices, acknowledging emotions. Mrs. says, acknowledging emotions. Mrs. Rao began gently expressing her needs, asserting boundaries, and expecting the same respect in return. To her surprise, the relationship transformed. To her surprise, the relationship transformed. Her husband, though slow to learn, eventually realized that small gestures of listening and appreciation deepened their connection far more than empty declarations of love. So, for those of us in our later years, the lesson is clear: cherish love, but never compromise on respect. A relationship without respect may survive, but it will never thrive. The ultimate joy comes from being seen, heard, and valued, an irreplaceable gift that every senior deserves. Lesson 3: Children have their own lives. Many seniors face the painful realization your children, no matter how much they love you, will have their own lives. Mr. Sain, your children, no matter how much they love you, will have their own lives. Mr. Sain, Verma, a retired teacher, told me he spent decades prioritizing his children above all else. He ensured they had education, opportunities, and comfort. He dreamed of the day they would return the same care and attention. But life has its rhythms. His children grew busy with their careers, families, and responsibilities. Calls became infrequent, visits shorter, even holidays felt incomplete without their presence. Initially, Mr. Verma felt disappointment and guilt. He wondered if he had failed as a father. Yet, with time, he discovered a profound truth. Children are not extensions of us, they are independent souls on their own journey. Our role is to guide, nurture, and love without expecting repayment. Expecting them to mirror our devotion or fill our emotional needs often leads to heartbreak. When Mr. Verma embraced this wisdom, his life transformed. He began spending more time with old friends, pursuing hobbies, and volunteering. The emotional void he felt was gradually replaced with purpose and joy. This lesson is especially vital after 65. As our physical energy declines, our desire for emotional connection grows. But anchoring our happiness solely on children is a setup for disappointment. True fulfillment comes when we love children freely, support their choices, and find joy outside parental expectations. In essence, let go of the expectation that your children are responsible for your happiness. Celebrate their successes, forgive their absences, and focus on building a rich, self sustained life. Because when you stop, believe the gift depending on others to complete you, you discover that the world still holds infinite possibilities for love, joy, and connection. Lesson 4: Some relationships were never real after 65. One of life's harshest realities becomes evident: some relationships were never real. They existed only because of convenience, mutual benefit, or circumstance. Mutual benefit or circumstance. Mr. Gupta, a retired businessman, once told me, when I was wealthy, everyone wanted to be my friend. When I lost my fortune, many disappeared. At first, this realization hurt him deeply. He questioned whether he had misjudged people or been too naive. But over time, he began to see the truth. Not all connections are genuine. Some people attach themselves to your success, status, or utility rather than your soul. This lesson, though painful, is profoundly liberating. It helps you differentiate between superficial acquaintances and authentic relationships. Authentic relationships are tested by adversity. They persist when convenience fades. Mrs. Bolent Kapoor, an elderly widow, shared a similar story. After her husband passed, many of her so called friends stopped visiting. Yet a few friends, who had no expectations from her, stood by her side. These were the relationships worth nurturing. Understanding this distinction allows seniors to invest energy wisely. After 65, life becomes too short to maintain connections that drain your spirit. Focusing on authentic relationships brings peace, emotional stability, and joy. The lesson is brutal, but simple. Not everyone who smiles at you is loyal. Not everyone who celebrates with you is genuine. Yet, recognizing this frees you from disappointment. You can embrace life more honestly, cherish true friends, and finally let go of those who never mattered. By accepting this reality, seniors can live more peacefully, surrounded by people who genuinely care rather than chasing illusions. Oh, friendship that only fade with time. Lesson 5: Silence speaks louder than words as we grow older. We begin to understand that silence often speaks louder than words. Many of us spend our lives arguing, explaining, and trying to prove ourselves, especially in relationships. Mr. Fast, Mr. in relationships. Mr. Desai, a retired engineer, spent decades insisting he was right in every argument with his spouse. Over time, these small conflicts built walls between them. After 65, he learned a subtle truth. During a meditation retreat, he observed couples sitting together in silence, communicating without words. It was then he realized words can be powerful, but silence, when rooted in understanding and respect, is even more profound. More profound. Mrs. Iyer, a senior storyteller, shared how she and her husband stopped arguing years ago. They now simply observe, listen, and respond thoughtfully. The love and respect they share need no constant verbal reinforcement. Silence had become their language of peace. This lesson is particularly relevant after 65. Life has already taught us that arguing over minor issues is pointless. Time is too precious. Instead of using words to dominate or correct, use silence to understand, reflect, and connect. Silence can convey compassion, empathy, and unconditional love more effectively than any speech. It communicates patience, acceptance, and inner strength. Seniors who embrace this wisdom find their relationships smoother, calmer, and far more meaningful. In essence, words are tools, but silence is a sanctuary. After 65, when voices may tire and energy wanes, the ability to communicate through quiet presence becomes the ultimate expression of love. Lesson 6. You cannot fix everyone. One of the most freeing lessons after 65 is understanding that you cannot fix everyone. Mr. Mehra, a father in his 70s, spent decades trying to correct his son's choices career, marriage, when lifestyle. He offered advice, warnings, and countless discussions, yet nothing seemed to work. His frustration grew into resentment, and his health began to suffer. It was only when he accepted a simple truth that people change only when they are ready did his life regain peace. The realization was liberating. You are responsible for your actions, not for transforming others. The desire to control or fix. Today, the desire to control or fix others often leads to emotional exhaustion. Mrs. Sen, a retired doctor, shared a similar experience. She tried to guide her grandchildren, constantly intervening in their lives, believing her wisdom would prevent mistakes. When they resisted, she finally let go. The relief she felt was immense. Not only did her stress reduce, but her grandchildren also began making decisions independently, learning from experience. After 65, it becomes essential to conserve emotional energy. Life is too short to fight battles that others must fight themselves. Accepting this truth doesn't mean detachment from loved ones, it means understanding boundaries and prioritizing peace of mind. The lesson is clear: help when asked, guide when necessary, but do not carry the weight of changing others. True love sometimes means letting go, allowing them to grow on their own path while you cultivate your own inner harmony. When seniors embrace this wisdom, relationships improve, tension decreases, communication becomes respectful, and emotional well being flourishes. You discover the joy of loving without burden and living without unnecessary conflict. Lesson 7. Your relationship with yourself is the most important. Finally, the most profound lesson after 65. Your relationship with yourself is the most important. After decades of caring for family, friends, and colleagues, many seniors realize that they have neglected the person they spend the longest time with, themselves. Mr. Chaev, Mr. Self, Mr. Self, Mr. V. Joshi, and 68-year-old retired officer admitted, I spent my life building relationships with everyone except myself. In his youth, he measured success by how well he served others. After retirement, the void of unmet personal needs became evident. He felt lonely, incomplete, and restless. It took time, reflection, and meditation for him to understand that self relationship forms the foundation for all other Conan. Stations loving yourself, respecting your own needs, and accepting your limitations is not selfish. It is essential. When you are at peace with yourself, even solitude feels comforting. When you are not, even a room full of people can feel empty. Mrs. Bhatt, a retired artist, discovered joy by reconnecting with her passions. Painting, writing, and traveling became her companions. These activities nurtured her inner self, making her independent of external validation. The lesson is liberating. Happiness doesn't come from constant social interaction, it comes from inner alignment, self respect, and self compassion. A senior who treasures their own company, nurtures their mental and emotional health, and finds joy in their existence experiences freedom beyond comparison. So, my friends, after 65, focus on your inner world, cultivate peace, explore passions, and build a loving relationship with yourself. When you do, you become a source of positivity and love for everyone else. And finally, you understand that the most enduring relationship is the one you have with yourself.